Do you want me to read them, Dan?
Would you like to?
I don't know.
That's fine.
I'm
You want me
gonna-
to read the responses, or are you going to take the
Yeah,
responses?
you can read the
too?
responses, I'll read the questions.
He's got more though.
Yes, we have all of them.
Oh, okay.
Questions posed by David Pearl. When talking about the numbers of students requesting reassignment, you said we would get one. I would assume it means 1 to 2 a year. Here are the real numbers, not 1 or 2. Do you want me
And these are the years, and then the number.
03, 04, 25, 04, 05, 23, 05, 06, 15, 06, 07, 17, 07, 08, 18, 08, 09, 17, 09, 10, 21, 10, 11, 22, 11, 12, 36.
The response to that question, the numbers referred to in this question are for total students attending schools other than of record and do not reflect the numbers that were requested for that year. So there were, I'll use 11, 12, 36, but that does not reflect the number of requests that were made. That's the total number of students for the four years.
You continued by saying, yeah, sure, why not? It's not costing the district any more money. Yet you made this statement in the Union Leader on 12/21/11. We're looking out for all taxpayers in town, he said. If we were granting these hardships, there's an impact for taxpayers.
The response to that question, well, that statement, I guess, there is an impact to the taxpayers if folks as with a manifest educational hardship, the district would pay the entire amount of the tuition.
Then you say, but in the 2 or 3 years, the numbers have increased. Well, this is true. For the last 3 years, the numbers have increased by 2.5%.
And my response is the numbers have increased per my comments.
You stated the district would put itself in a potential breach of contract if we allow students without sound reasoning.
The district was not reviewing requests for attending a school other than that of record prior to the recent revisions to policies for the same. The district was granting approval without review based on the contractual guidelines. With the revised policies, clear guidelines are now in place to ensure review on a case-by-case basis can be undertaken, and proof of review on a case-by-case basis can now be provided in the event questions arise.
Why we have not violated.
Yep.
Can you explain the reason why we were not reviewing those requests? Because they were, I believe, I think the reason was that at that point, a majority of the board on a continuous basis, each request, case by case, were automatically approving it. So it was posed that if we're automatically approving it, then we should ask the superintendent to do that on our behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And that was made in motion. It wasn't a full majority, but it was a motion to do that. So from that time on until recently, when we made that change, the superintendent was doing that on our behalf. Prior to that, is that correct?
Let me clarify. And again, you know, this is my wording. You know, case by case basis is a review of the case by the board. And in the past, admittedly, we would receive the requests, and there was no deliberation. There was no, and I'm saying for the majority. I'm certain there were cases where, you know, non-public had to happen because of the issue. But I look at it as a case by case. We're reviewing, which we did tonight. We broke up into non-public. We deliberated, and that was not happening. So were we seeing each case? Yes, but we were not reviewing the cases as they came to us. It was you know, you can call it what you want, but it was more of a here comes the request. we need to approve it. We approved it, and it went on its way.
Why we have not violated the contract, we have not received a complaint from Manchester. Please tell us how we can potentially breach the contract.
I'm just
Was
looking
that-
here. I didn't look at that one as a question. It didn't have a number with it, so I did not catch that one. I apologize.
Should we add that one for next?
Well, I think we should put that on for next. I did miss that one. I was going by the numbering system that was in front of me.
Questions from the Hooksett Board meeting January 3rd. Why does the board deem it necessary to prove hardship?
The board believes that a clear method for reviewing and subsequently rendering a decision on requests for attending a school other than that of record is necessary to ensure fairness to all students, parents, and taxpayers. This method will also help ensure adherence to the agreement with the City of Manchester for having Hooksett High School students attend high school within the Manchester district.
Why do you believe tuition is illegal?
The board has, I took some, I read, I believe that was shared tuition, so if I interpreted that incorrectly, it'll be clarified. But so I would call that question, why do you believe shared tuition is illegal, if my memory is correct? So the board has no reason to believe that the shared tuition agreement is illegal.
Will you be paying my next tuition bill to Pembroke Academy because my daughter has accepted under hardship JCB, and therefore, if this is the position you are going to take, then I would accept you to take over the payments?
Students granted permission to attend the school other than that of record prior to recent revisions to policies will be allowed to continue as requests were made under previous versions of these policies.
Is the Hooksett School Board willing to discuss with the citizens the reassignment issue for high school?
The board is always willing to take public comments at our regularly scheduled meetings. And now we're into the emails.
Do you,
I would suggest maybe stating who the email's from and the date.
Okay.
Can I correct you on one question? The last question was, would the Hooksett School Board have a public forum with the parents? I specifically remember asking that question. I asked it, and I could show you the video, as public forum, not a discussion. I asked that at the last meeting at the second public input.
Okay, you know, if
There's a difference, that's why I'm pointing it out.
we can have that added to the public forum. Okay.
this is an email
The
from
email.
David Pearl to Chairman Dana Argo on January 5th at 11:14. Hi Dana, this question, which I asked during public input, was never addressed. Opportunity for the public to address the board. David Pearl stated that the public needs information relative to the recent reversal in the high school placement policy. He asked if the process is considered by the board to be a voucher system or not, and requested a definition of a hardship and an explanation of the basis of the change in real facts. I hope it can be addressed at the next regular meeting. Thank you, David Pearl.
That's the 1-5-12. I'm sorry, they're in a different order here.
1-5-12.
1/5/12, 11/14.
Oh, yeah. The board does not consider the existing process to be a voucher system.
Okay, the 1/2/2012 email from David Pearl to Chairman Dana Argo. I will attempt to be more clear with my questions so that you can answer it. 1, do you believe the Hooksett School Board has the authority to reassign students to high schools other than Manchester on a case-by-case basis without considering hardship and only paying the other school the same amount of tuition paid to Manchester and require the parent to pay the difference?
The board believes current revised policies have allowed for decisions on granting requests for students to attend schools other than that of record on a case-by-case basis.
2, you say you are sharing information. Are you willing to have a forum and answer the public questions?
The board has allowed the public every opportunity to voice its comments on all items relative to the school district. Presently, the board has not discussed the need for a forum.
3, at the 12/6/11 meeting, while JCB was in place, JCB does not reference ED 320. Acting Chair Sullivan said he did not have a definition of hardship. At the very next meeting, you mentioned that you are using ED 320. When did the board discuss using ED 320 as a definition?
The utilization of ED 320 as a guideline for the revised policies was done through the Policy and Procedures Committee and never specifically discussed as an agenda item by the board. The board did approve the policy revisions knowing that ED 320 was a guiding document.
When was that? I can barely hear you.
I'm sorry? The utilization of ED 320 as a guideline for the revised policies was done through the Policy and Procedures Committee and never specifically discussed as an agenda item by the board. The board did approve the policy revisions knowing that ED 320 was a guiding document.
Number 4, I asked you if you would, not if any discussion had taken place. See below, so will you. 4, will you get a legal opinion and share it with the public regarding the school board's authority to reassign without hardship, relying on the language of the contract, and if this can be done without Hooksett paying the full amount? No discussions have occurred regarding this question.
At this time, the board has not discussed revising policy JCB once again.
David Pearl's email to Chairman Dana Argo on 12/30/2011. Hi Dana, here are my questions. Do you agree that the school board could remove policy JCB and reassign students to other high schools without proving hardship and without paying full tuition? If not, why? I do not agree. In the past, the board did not make the decisions to reassign students on a case-by-case basis, as the contract states. The decisions to reassign were admittedly made without good, solid reasoning, as the requests were few and far between. With a considerable increase in requests over the past few years, the board has realized that to make decisions on a case-by-case basis, there needed to be guidance for making those decisions. That said, JCB has been our guiding document with support of ED 320.
Your reading was the answer, Trish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's the way it came in.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I read his
Again,
answer. Sorry.
That was well, that's the way it came in, so I would have read it the same way. Again, the board has not discussed removing policy JCB.
I see it now in the next one, so I won't do that.
Mhm.
At the school board meeting on the 9th, acting chair, it says the 9th, but it was really the 6th. I just point of clarification. Acting Chair Sullivan stated, "We don't have a definition of hardship. It is an individual thing." I'm paraphrasing. Yet at the next meeting, Chairman Argo states that ED 320 is part of the info used to decide the hardship request. When did the board decide or discussing using ED 320?
Again, that's a similar question and a similar answer. The utilization of ED 320 as a guideline for the revised policies was done through the Policy and Procedures Committee and never specifically discussed as an agenda item by